this opportunity, and Archie says, get up there.
And he told me he came within an inch. He's still mad he didn't get cast in Hee Haw. I thought I had it.
Excuse me. Can I quit this podcast?
I told Eddie Murphy to stay in college so he'd have something to fall back on. I did great advice. Jackie, how about the lighter side of history? The lighter side.
I'm laughing at my joke.
Okay. I know a lot of things and I share them on the podcast and you don't care.
What are we talking about?
I can't get a word in edgewise on this show. I mean, it's...
Here's how we sell it.
Okay.
So all of a sudden
Yes.
you start, and I'm talking, even the crickets weren't cricking, and I'm in the back on a bar stool against the wall, but I was close to him because the place was so small, but it was packed, and he's eating it. I mean, it is, it's so funny, and he's doing Jewish jokes, and I could see him, he was pacing, because what do you do? He's pacing like a lion, and out of frustration, he turns to the crowd and he goes, do any of you people know what a bagel is? And the guy in the corner goes, yeah, it's a hunting dog. And I screamed. And the guy, he wasn't making a joke. It was like, I always ask Jenny, did you ever do that story on Leno or anything? And he never was definitive about whether he did or didn't. But what a classic
story.
Classic
what
story.
A story.
Who could invent that?
You can't invent that. I'm telling you, we've all seen uncomfortable moments for comedians on stage and audiences. Because I got to tell you, I was hosting at Rascals, a wonderful comedy club in West Orange, New Jersey, 400 people, packed. I'm hosting.
Perfect comedy room, big rectangle.
Perfect.
Perfect stage, perfect sound system.
Perfect. Everything, and a great manager who kept everybody in line, Danny McKenna. Now, it's me, and it's a comic from Boston named Teddy Bergeron, and the late, great Dennis Wolfberg. And the crowd is hot, and I have a really good warm-up, and I bring up Teddy. And how do I put this? Teddy has had too much to drink. Jackie...
It wasn't his first time.
No, and it was way too much to drink. And he really couldn't focus on his act, and he blurted out a joke that's not that funny in the first place. I just had a penis transplant, but my right hand rejected it. So,
Which is a great joke.
Well, okay, yeah, he does it, he gets a little laugh, but the audience is very weirded out and quiet by this time because they're worried about what's going on. So he's sort of incoherent for another minute, and then he goes to the audience, hey, I just had a penis transplant and my right hand rejected it. He did the joke twice. And
was he being funny, or
no,
did he not know where?
No, he didn't know. And it was just a minute later. It was so awkward. The audience was completely quiet. Tony Camacho, who was one of the bouncers, had to go to oh man, I still remember it, cringing, walks to the side of the stage and says, Teddy, you have to come off now. And he was walked off the stage. 400 people, dead quiet. I'm the host. I have to go on after this. So I get up on the edge of the stage, I look at the audience and I go, and I walk slowly to the microphone and I turned to the audience and I said, hey folks, guess what? I just had a penis transplant and my right hand rejected it. And the place exploded.
I was so hoping that's what you were going to say.
I did that. You know why? And you know this well. The audience is there. They want to have a good time. They don't want their night ruined. They're having a good time. Teddy was...
And the balloon was like this, and you went, pow!
And then I can top that because I did 10 minutes, got them all back, got everybody laughing again, introduced Dennis Wolfberg, and he walked to the microphone and turned to the audience and said, hey folks, I just got a penis transplant and my right hand rejected it. That was his opening line. And the place exploded again and he went off to the races. And that joke was done 4 times that night.
That's so wonderful.
Oh, what a great story.
You know, Oh, I love that stuff.
I love it.
One of our shows you talked about Jack Raymond with who were your parents' first cousins. Do you know the other? I don't think I told it. The other classic story about him.
Does it have to do with a television show? Because
No.
there's going to be a third classic story about him if it doesn't have to do with it. Tell yours.
He was on stage. I don't know whether he was doing well or not doing well, but I guess he had come up with a joke. And he had no idea that Linda McCartney had shown up. So Rick Newman brought her in and sat her in the back and sat with her. But it's not like Paul McCartney walking in. Everybody's like, there's Paul McCartney. So who the hell knows who Linda McCartney is? And she's sitting in the back, and Grayman says, what would you call a dog with wings? Linda McCartney. He invented that joke, which went around like wildfire. But what are the odds that she is sitting there and Newman's like, you know, it's almost like, Linda, come sit down. I got her all teed up for you, you know. I never met that guy.
Jack Raymond was out of his mind, okay? And he was on the dating game.
But not a drunken, druggy guy.
No, just crazy. Just in a crazy kind of a way. And he was on the dating game, and he won. And because he was crazy, you introduce the winner who comes out and meets the woman for the first time, and they're going to find out where their dream date is. A Taste of Honey by Herb Albert. And he walks out to the music, and he kisses her on the cheek, and he whispers in her ear, this is filthy, I don't know if we'll make it on the air. He whispers in her ear, on the air live, I'm going to lick. And
did it come out okay?
Nobody heard it. The only person who heard it was her. And it's live on TV. All right, so it's taped. Nobody else hears about this happening. He tells the comics at the comic strip, my show's on tonight, and I said this in the woman's ear, and you got to see it. It's so funny. So the TV's on in the comic strip. We're watching the dating game. We watch Jack Raymond win. We watch him come out as the winner, give her a kiss on the cheek. You can see him whispering something in her ear, and you see her face go. It really happened. And he's the only one who knew it, and obviously the girl.
And obviously he probably didn't see her reaction.
No. But we all saw it. We all died laughing. I mean,
that's.
I don't know if they ever went on. How do you go on a date?
That was my next question.
No, how do you go out on a date after that?
And if they did, how'd it go?
I mean,
that's being crazy.
He's out of his mind. And back in those days, you and your dating game chaperone are going to the Hilton in Las Vegas for 3. You know, can you imagine?
Do you? Speaking of television, I don't think You know, if you tell a story enough times, you think you saw it.
Yeah.
But supposedly, when John Mulrooney was on Star Search, you know this story with Rosie?
I don't.
Mulrooney's on Star Search with Rosie O'Donnell, and he hands down blows her off the stage. And, you know, they do the reveal at the end. Like, all of a sudden, there's the scores, and he's standing there next to Rosie, and they say, and the winner is, and as they're saying, and the winner is, he's like, you know, they go, and the winner is Rosie O'Donnell, and he, that's got to exist somewhere. But, I mean, he had so clearly won, and you know.
Every comedian I ever spoke to who was on Star Search and didn't win said angrily, "It was fixed. It was fixed."
You know, I don't know if it's fixed, but I lost by the smallest amount you could lose. I averaged 3, and Steve, whatever his name, that's not the guy from Jackass, but he was a comedian. I had Jack Martling 3 stars, Steve so-and-so 3.25 stars. When I did the show, and you don't forget this, when they show your score, I looked over and it was 2, 4, 3, 3. So I averaged a 3. When it aired on TV, my scores were 3, 3, 3, 3, which is the exact same thing mathematically, but that isn't what happened, which made me question,
Well, you should question it. That doesn't make any sense.
But that, and I never told you that story. The way Star Search worked, and it was so great. It was so professional. Howard Stern said to me, when you went on going out to L.A. to do Star Search, I thought we'd never see you again. He thought I was going to get discovered. He really thought I had something going on. We're not to do it, and it was such a first-class operation, especially if you've never really done television, which I never done. So like, they pick you up and you stay in a good place and you're treated blah blah blah. But the way it worked was, either the day before or the afternoon of, you perform your act for the crew.
Yeah.
Not on stage or anything, but I think there was like a rec room or wherever it was. The makeup people, the cameraman, so they could get an idea for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But I did my act, and there was an African-American makeup girl. And as I was standing there, she came over and she said, "You're going to win, and I've never been wrong." And then when I lost, I said, "Where is she?" I've never been wrong. So it was like the kiss of death,
I always question comedy contests because comedians really are not competing against each other. They're just trying to make an audience laugh. And these things.
Not only that, in this thing, there was a first wave of Star Search, okay, where they took all the best guys and girls, and when they did the next wave, Claudia McMahon, instead of going, Ed's daughter, she didn't go to the comic strip and catch her. She came out to the East Side Comedy Club. And so a bunch of us auditioned. She said, "Oh, Jackie, we're so thrilled to have you on the show." But she couldn't have been nicer. This is long before.
Yeah.
I was on the Stern Show one day a week or something.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't quite the same, pizzazz. But I was 37 years old.
Yeah.
Catch a Rising Star, the upcoming star is like, 18, 20. Not a 37-year-old man with a pot belly, And the guy, Steve, that I competed against, was a young, thin, good-looking guy, and he was funny, but like, you had to look at it and say, if that guy was going to, if that guy was going to make it, wouldn't it have happened already? And
hey, you can
I'll
start.
never know if that had anything to do with anything.
You can start at any age. There's no age limit for starting in comedy. Rodney, and you know this better than I, would complain over and over again, I started too late, right?
Right, but that's not a youngster's up-and-coming contest. But in the game of life, right, there's no, you read about these guys that pass away, what's his name, Ned Beatty, that just passed away, who was not a major star, but everybody knew who he was, and he did hundreds of movies. But nobody knew who he was till he did Deliverance. And I think he was 40 when he did Deliverance. You know what I mean?
Yes,
People knock around forever and ever.
Right.
I was dating a girl who was way crazy too young for me, who I met at the Fort Lauderdale comic strip. And she was down there doing a play. She was touring the country in a Neil Simon play, and it was built into her contract that she's allowed to fly somebody in every couple of weeks. Because you're young girls, she could fly in a friend or whatever. I don't think it was supposed to be a guy, but I went to see her in Toronto and Philadelphia, whatever. But the first time I went to see the play, we went out afterwards to Joe Allen's. And one of the people in the play was Bill Macy from Maude.
Sure.
So we're sitting around eating, and they're all so nice. And he's like, "What do you do?" I said, and this is like 1980. And I'm like, I just started trying to stand up comedy. I tried to be a musician, but I'm a comic, and I'm bombing bad, And he said, "I bombed for 20 years."
Yeah.
I bombed for 20 years doing small time, and then I stumbled upon Maude, and that's the way it works.
Right.
And there's 100 of me that didn't stumble upon Maude. That's just.
You can do what you want no matter what your age, although I remember this joke. So I don't remember the comic who did it, but Tony Randall had a baby at age 79.
Right, he was an antique.
And there was a comic who said Tony Randall is the only person in the country who's looking for an assisted living facility that has daycare.
Oh, that's right.
I mean, that is a joke. I don't know who, I forget, but what?
My God, you know.
You're not exactly going to win the potato sack race when your kid is in first grade.
It's, that is staggering.
That is
staggering,
yeah. That he could do it at 79.
I love this. It's always exciting, and we're not going to do a formal goodbye because we want the next show to pick up like we just passed the baton.
Tease a story about Red McCready when you pulled up and he was pumping gas.
My friend Red McCready worked with my band, but he didn't really. We never paid him, but I couldn't pay him because there was not one thing he did that I didn't have to redo. If he set up an amplifier, a microphone, a sound system, I had to check everything and usually redo it. So that's not really helping me. And then he got hired at the East Side Comedy Club, and he worked the door for a while. Do you know the story of that? He's working the door, and do you know about the $20 bill?
Hey, a new episode of Stand Up Memories every Wednesday.
How exciting is that?
Starring me, Peter Bales, and right here, Jackie the Joke Man Martling.
Please follow us on social media. Search it out. What is it? MeSpace?
MySpace?
Your space?
TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
Doodah.